Here today is the Schutz of the Four Shleimo Kreva for Chana Bas Sultana, Shlicha the Rebbe in Toronto. A miraculous miracle taken from the Yad Mamish. We're learning now, in continuation to what we're learning for the past 2 days, the different times that the Rebbe emphasized and excluded why this that Yidden are going to Eretz Yisrael is not a beginning of the redemption in any sort. What I'm thinking the plan is going to be, we're going to learn all these letters of the Rebbe and everything. Later we're going to learn the way I put everything together in one shot. That's Siman Yud Aleph. And then we're going to learn also in the back, the built-in Mugah, the unedited, all about this specific topic. Very important topic and concept. Okay, let's continue inside. So, Tov Tes Dalet. In the Sikha, the Rebbe says, "Yivna Mikdash b'mkoymei v'yikabetz nitchei Yisrael." So, some believe the Rebbe is quoting the Rambam that says Mashiach is going to build a Beis HaMikdash and take everyone to Eretz Yisrael. So, the Rebbe right away emphasizes in the footnote on the words Yivna Mikdash, he will build the Beis HaMikdash. V'achar kach yikabetz nitchei Yisrael. He will build the Beis HaMikdash, and only after he will build the Beis HaMikdash will he take all the entire Yisrael. Beseder zeh davke. In this order, specifically, it needs to be in this order. It's not just that the Beis HaMikdash is going to be built and you're not going to go to Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't make a difference which order. So you didn't go to Eretz Yisrael first, and then later on Mashiach will build the Beis HaMikdash, and that's what they're saying. Says the Rebbe, no. It needs to be in this specific order. First, the building of the Beis HaMikdash. After that, you didn't go to Eretz Yisrael. Shikshavei Beis Ba'amim. The Rambam writes it's in this order twice, and then the Rebbe comes and says, "The Leiki Yerushalmi Ma'aser Sheni Perikei Halacha Daled Ve'ed." Not the way it says in Mesachas Yerushalmi, in Mesachas Ma'aser Sheni of Talmud Yerushalmi Perikei Halacha Beis. Let's look down. What does it say? Beis HaMikdash. Over there it says that the Beis HaMikdash is going to be built before Malchus Beis David. Which, what do you see from this? That seemingly that Mashiach is going to come later on. One moment, please. Yeah. So the Rambam emphasizes that specifically Melech HaMashiach will come first and he will build the Beis HaMikdash. Not that Melech HaMashiach will come after building the Beis HaMikdash. Now, just to point out, we're going to see later the letter of the Rebbe Rashab. There he explains how do we actually learn this? Yerushalmi, at the end of the day, if Malchus Beis David is coming after, it says after being Beis HaMikdash, right? So the Rebbe Rashab explains, we'll see soon later on, that this is referring to the Shleimus of the Malchus of Mashiach. Obviously, the way the Mizrachim are learning it, the Melech HaMashiach will show up later on, and Mashiach will not be here before the Beis HaMikdash is built. Okay, but the Rebbe Rashab explains what does it mean before the Melech HaMashiach comes, before the Shleimus of the Malchus. The Malchus of Mashiach will be complete after he builds the Beis HaMikdash. Okay. Next, another place the Rebbe says very similar. Even a Mikdash b'mkoymei v'yikabetz nitchei Yisrael. Again, the Rebbe brings the Rambam inside, which also from here we see, just to point out, why did the Rebbe bring this Rambam so many times? Besides for it being truth on its own, that this is the way the good is going to come, but mainly the Rebbe brought down this Rambam to exclude a specific opinion. Now, the one in Yerushalmi? Yerushalmi, Tanchum, we're going to see a whole bunch of it. Let's see this. V'yikabetz nitchei Yisrael, or gather all the Yidden back to Eretz Yisrael, l'basoif. All the way in the end is when the Yidden will go to Eretz Yisrael. They're saying that Yidden go, according to their order, what's the Zionist and whatever. For them, the first thing is go to Eretz Yisrael. Without Mashiach, without anything, without Beis HaMikdash. The Rambam says, Lebasayif. That's the last thing. So take it easy. In the Rambam, the order of the Rambam says things, the occurrences that are going to take place. It's not that he's just saying different things that are going to happen. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. It doesn't make a difference what's first, what's last. No. The Rambam was medayek in the order of events. The Rambam writes the same exact thing in the beginning of this parak, not only in Halacha Dal, but also in Halacha Aleph. Now, what's the source of the Rambam? So the Rebbe brings what's the source of the Rambam. The first is going to be the building of the Beis Hamikdash, and after that it's going to be Kibbutz Goldis in two places in Zoyar, and so too Rashi says it also in Maseches Brachos. Let's see. Hey, on the bottom, the Pianuchim on the bottom. Zer chelik alef kofel mandalt ad de kutchabricho yivne bein mikdasha bekadmisa v'yisaken heichla kodad iksiv bein Yerushalayim bekadmisa or the bossa nitche Yisrael gechanis. It says in Zohar the Eibishter is going to build the Beis Hamikdash first, and he will fix his heichal. And this is what it says. We say to him, bein Yerushalayim Hashem. Nidche Yisrael Yechanis. Hashem will build the Beis Hamikdash, and then after he'll build the Beis Hamikdash, Nidche Yisrael Yechanis, he will gather together all the Yidden Yisrael.
We say Bnei Yerushalayim.
Hashem and Nidche Yisrael Yechanis Reiv Yidlish V'Reiv V'Chav Shlat Tzvaisam.
In Shemona Esrei?
Not in Shemona Esrei.
No, but which one's first? Bnei Yerushalayim?
In Shemona Esrei, that's a whole other thing. That's what it says in Megillah, and that's what they want to bring as a source. And the Rebbe Rashab explains it also. We'll see it soon. Now let's see the next Zohar all the way on the bottom. Kufla Mites Aleph. Beis Hamikdash koydem leKibbutz Galus. The Beis Hamikdash will be built before Kibbutz Galus, which this is the order of the Rambam. Also Rashi says in Brachos Mites Amar Aleph, Ksiv bein Yerushalayim Hashem va'oz nidche Yisrael Yechanis. The Eibishter will build the Beis Hamikdash, build Yerushalayim, and then after he builds Yerushalayim, then he will gather together all the Yidden to Eretz Yisrael. Upali, so back inside the letter, Upali got Tanchuma Hanal, the Rambam, Rashi, the Zohar and Rashi, they do not hold, they're cholik on the opinion in Medrash Tanchuma, and the Rambam goes according to La Halacha L'Maisa, according to the Zohar and Rashi. V'rei Barucho Michtav Kedushas Adam and Neshmas Eidin Bekovitz. We bring this later on. Where there the Rebbe Rashab explains how all of these Gemaras that say otherwise is not a stira to the Rambam explains it. Over there he answers on the Rambam what it says in Maseches Megillah Zayin Amud Beis. Over there, if I remember correctly, there it says in the order of the Brachos of Shemona Esrei. In the Brachos of Shemona Esrei, like you asked, first it says, one second. In Shemona Esrei it says first. And Shemona Esrei first comes Kibbutz Galus, and after that it says Binyan Yerushalayim. So the Rebbe Rashab answers these questions how we shouldn't be a stira. Mavad Gam Ken Abacher Rachaim Simin Kufit Ches Yerushalayim Meister Shein Perek Halacha Beis. The Rebbe Rashab gives an answer to all the other opinions that it seemingly it disagrees with this order. That there's going to be first Malach HaMashiach, then Beis Hamikdash, then Kibbutz Galus, and not like all these other opinions, other Mamarei Chazal, which it sounds that it's going to be a different order. First there's going to be Kibbutz Galus, after that there's going to be Binyan Beis Hamikdash, and after that Malach HaMashiach is going to show up, and that's what their sources. So the Rebbe Rashab explains all of these opinions. Okay. We're going to look it up. We're going to learn the whole letter. We're going to learn the full letter, Be'iyun. The Nekuda that Rebbe Rashab is explaining over there is Ma'aser B'Poyel. the order is going to be the way that Rambam says it. There's opinion that says a different order. For example, that Yerushalayim, like we said before, that Yerushalayim is going to be, that Malchus Bezdov is going to be after Binyan Yerushalayim. He said the Shleimus, right? He explains all of these Ma'amar Chazal basically. Okay, next. The Timoin Godil Karasik Sofi, with the great wonder I read what you wrote. I did not write my private, personal opinion regarding Eschalta de Geula. I copy paste. What did I do? I only copy pasted a clear psaktin from the Rambam. Hilchas Malachim Perikid Aleph with Chalosei the Eid upon the Seifei. Down writes in Hilchas Malachim Perikid Aleph in the beginning of the Perik, and then again in the end of the Perik. Eich Yisayim Hagolus. How the Golus will finish. Sharak Achar Kach Matchila Hageula. Only after Melech HaMashiach will finish the Golus, only after that can be a Yeschalta de Geula. You cannot have a Haschola of the Geula, like they're saying, before the Golus gets finished. The Golus needs to finish before the Geula starts. So the Geula can start without the Golus finishing. For sure the Rambam knew all the Ma'amar Chazal that you copy paste in your letter that you're writing to me, which you're trying to say, yeah, we have a source for that. He says the Rambam knew it also, and nevertheless, he said he wrote the way the psaktin is going to be, like we mentioned. The Beis Yosef, the Ravid agreed to the Rambam in this psaktin, like we said also yesterday. This is why you see sometimes the Rebbe does bring the same thing, because the Rebbe is writing to different people, and even though the Rebbe wrote it in a letter to someone else, that's not a reason you shouldn't write it to some other guy that doesn't know it. Over here, that we're bringing everything down the way it is, so you see the same thing many times, but many times each letter has its chiddush, its point that it doesn't say, and therefore, in the Siman Yir Aleph, what did I do? I took all the things that Rebbe said, and I made it one sicha, one letter, like that. We made it one letter, like one binyan, like that. You don't see the same thing again and again. Verstehst? Okay, another inyan. Hamusig Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. If Hamusig Shivas Tzion Muvan Shenifradim. What the Rebbe is coming to point out of here is people say we already have Shivas Tzion. I heard that the anthem or whatever of Eretz Yisrael, so they have the Hatikva song. Their original plan was going to be Shir HaMailos.
That'd be nice.
Shir HaMailos, Be'eshuv Hashem, Et Shivas Tzion, and with that tune actually. So now what was their point? They're trying to say, we already have the return to Zion. We already have the return to Zion. That's their whole point. Everyone should go to that. So you already have Shivas Zion. So the Rebbe is saying over here that people are mixing up two separate things, separate concepts. There's a concept called Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, which means to live in Eretz Yisrael, which that could be even at the time of God, to live in Eretz Yisrael. Then there's a separate concept called Shivas Tzion, the return to Tzion, which that has nothing to do with Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Shivas Tzion means the promise of the Eibishter for the Gula Mitzvah Shleim Al Yedei Mashiach Tzidkeinu. So people say Shivas Tzion started. The Rebbe says Shivas Tzion didn't start, but Yishuv Eretz Yisrael can start. Don't mix up two separate things. So let's
Shivas Tzion is what?
The return to Tzion. That's Hashem's promise that Yidden will return to Eretz Yisrael in the Gula Mitzvah Shleima. V'shav Hashem alekecha shvuzcha v'nicha mecha v'shav yikibetzcha mikol ha'amim.
So what does that look
That's going on. That's Kibbutz Galus through Malach HaMashiach.
That's Kibbutz Galus.
And that did not start. Then Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Yishuv Eretz Yisrael means to the some Sefer writes. There's a mitzvah say that I said to be Meyashav Eretz Yisrael. Even in there's different opinions, but this is the opinion Tzion, whatever.
So just because you're doing Yishuv
So Yishuv Eretz
doesn't mean
Yisrael, and you can have a million of Yidden doing Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, that's not Shivas Tzion. Shivas Tzion, people are saying, oh, look, so many Yidden are going to Eretz Yisrael, so this is Shivas Tzion. Shivas Tzion happens through Malach HaMashiach, and this is a prophet, a promise of the Geula. Yidden going to Eretz Yisrael, a million Yidden going to Eretz Yisrael, Lu Yitzuyir, all Yidden going to Eretz Yisrael, that's still not Shivas Tzion. Shivas Tzion is a promise of Hashem on the Geula. You do not make Shivas Tzion on your own.
Does that mean the base of Mikdash?
Shivas Tzion means the return of the Yidden to Eretz Yisrael.
So not necessarily base of Mikdash.
Lav Dafke, but L'choide, yes. Because Tzion is also going on the Beis HaMikdash. Kim Tzion Teitzi Seida. Hamusik Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, Hamusik Shivas Tzion, move and Shenifradim, the concept of settling the land of Eretz Yisrael and the concept of returning to Tzion is understood that it's two separate concepts. Umashi Yeshrim Arvim Oisam, Umachlifim Echad Bechaveirei, Hevi, Vagam Mevi, the common Bilbulim, Maskanas built in a Chenis Va'it. This, that there's people that mix up and change around one with another. They say that Yishuv Eretz Yisrael is Shivas Tzion. This has brought in and is bringing to several misunderstandings and not correct maskonos, not correct conclusions. Va'oid, and more than that. Now the Rebbe is going to explain what are these two concepts. Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, Hu'ein B'Teira. This concept to settle the land of Eretz Yisrael is a thing that it says clearly in the Torah. There's opinions that say that when is there this chiyuv to live in Eretz Yisrael is only in the time when there's a Beis HaMikdash and all the Yidden are in Eretz Yisrael. There's those that when all the Yidden are in Eretz Yisrael, so there's a chiyuv that you should also be living in Eretz Yisrael. If someone's not in Eretz Yisrael. Right? When you have Kol Yeshvei Aleh, you have Shemitah V'Yovel, so there's a mitzvah for you to go to Eretz Yisrael also. But if there's no Beis HaMikdash, and you do not have all the in Eretz Yisrael, so you do not have an obligation to go move to Eretz Yisrael. There's opinions that say even in the time of Golus, there's a chiyuv to live in Eretz Yisrael. Okay. That is Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. What is the concept of Shivas Tzion? Shivas Tzion, the return to Tzion. Ukipshutoi. This is a literal thing. This is a concept that is connected with the redemption from exile. It's understood that this concept of returning to Eretz Yisrael is a possible to happen only after Golus. Because what does it mean you're returning to Tzion? That you were there and you were thrown out, and now you're returning, you're going back. So this thing, that is the concept of return. What does return mean? You're returning means you were there, now you were thrown away, and now you're coming back. What's the Rebbe coming to say over here? In the times of the Beis HaMikdash, there was only a concept of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. There was no concept of Shivas Tzion. When does the whole idea of Shivas Tzion begin? Only after the time of Golus. So, you need to take away the whole idea of Churban in order to have back this idea of Shivas Tzion. Okay, let's continue. This concept of Shivas Tzion is not some new concept. It's not some new made-up thing that the Zionism made up. So they're going to decide how to categorize what's Shivas Tzion. If someone's going to make up a new concept, so he can decide what's the rules of the game. Yeah, says the Rebbe, this concept of Shivas Tzion is not a new concept. With this sharp line, we weren't zoiche from the hefker for this line Shivas Tzion. Some Zionist clown didn't make up this concept of Shivas Tzion. It's said clearly in Torah this idea of Shiva Tzion, where in Sefer Tehillim Shir Amalis V'Shuv Hashem Shiva Tzion Yinuka Chelim. David HaMelech says it, and the Torah is the sides. How do you categorize this idea of Shiva Tzion? Ve'eilu heim divrei hameira hagadol Rabbeinu harambam b'sifrei Mishneh Torah b'hanegea l'Shiva Tzion. These are the words of the great teacher, the great guider, that our teacher, the Rambam, in his book Mishneh Torah, regarding this concept of Shiva Tzion. What is Shiva Tzion? La'alacha hilchas b'alacha perek aleph. He says, how will Shiva Tzion take place? Number one, HaMelech HaMashiach Hasid Lamid. You need to have the King Mashiach standing up. We have to return the kingdom of the house of David to the way it was in the olden times, to the way it was in the very, very beginning, the first rulership of Malchus Beis David. The beginning of the whole kingdom of Malchus Beis David. He will build the Beis Hamikdash, and after that, he will gather together all the entire Yisrael. That is when Shiva Tzion takes place. And the Torah witnesses that he will be the one to do this Shiva Tzion. Hashem Almighty will return you. V'shav means he will. The Shiva Tzion, the returning, will take place through the Eibishter, through Malach HaMashiach. V'nichamecha v'shav v'kibetzecha. The Eibishter will have mercy on you, and the Hashem will return and gather you. Which means there's a time, there's a way this thing takes place through the promise of Hashem through Melech HaMashiach. But Sefer Perek, and at the end of the Perek, the Rambam says, "Yeah, min Melech bebeis David, basic mitzvahs David King will get up from the house of David. He himself is toiling in Torah and totally occupied in the fulfillment of its mitzvahs, the way David HaMelech, his father, has fulfilled the Torah and mitzvahs according to the written Torah and according to the oral Torah. The Yaakov called Yisrael, he will force all the Yidden to go in the ways of Torah and to strengthen the cracks of Yiddishkeit. He will build the Beis Hamikdash, and he will gather together all the Yidden then to Eretz Yisrael. It is known the preciseness of the Rambam in every single word in his Sefer Mishneh Torah. Every word he says, in the order of the words that he says, in the order of the things that are going to take place, what's going to happen first, what's going to happen later. Don't just say that the Rambam was just writing, it doesn't make a difference. All of these, just to make us, the Rambam was precise in every single letter, every word, the order of every single thing, the way it's going to take place. So like we said again, the order according to the Pesach and the Torah is first of all, the Melech HaMashiach has to stand up and he will bring back this whole idea of Yiddish kingdom. Do you have that in Eretz Yisrael? Do you have that with this whole Zionist movement? No. There's no Melech HaMashiach that's running their show. There's no Malchus of Melech HaMashiach that's running their show. After that, he will build a Beis Hamikdash. And after that, after that, there's a Malach HaMashiach with a Malchus Beis David. After that, I'll build a Beis Hamikdash, and after that, I'll take care of that. Right. So here, the Rebbe is not medayik on that nekuda. Here, the Rebbe is coming to emphasize this idea. This is the promise of the Torah v'shavik kibetzcha. This that the Torah says, all the Yidden will go back to Eretz Yisrael. Do not tell me that this idea has begun or this can be begun on its own. No, this promise of all Yidden returning to Eretz Yisrael through the Eibishter, through Mashiach, has to take place the way the Rambam says it's going to take place. And according to the, like we said before in the previous paragraph, Psak din shebeteira einay inin lahatzba'o ulahachro al pi das arev. A psak din in the Torah is not a concept that let's take votes and see who decides to go. There's more people that hold like the psak din of the Rambam. There's less who. We don't care. That's not the way a psak din of Torah works. Let's see if we like this psak din, if we don't like the psak din. Let's see if more new rabbanim, they're going to decide the psak din is like some medrash. It doesn't work like that. A psak din in Torah is not up for votes. It's not according. We're not going to see who will go according to this psak din if the majority holds like this or not. It doesn't work like that. Kama ma'amari razal yeshnam bebisus or ba'archovas ha'omer le'il. The Rebbe says there's several ma'amari chazal that I can bring. Technically, the Rebbe is saying that are the source and they're the foundation, and they can explain in more length this psak din. I have decided to choose a psak din in a halacha sefer that is accepted by all the Yidden in the whole world. Like I said before, it is extremely precise in its terms that it uses and the order that it brings it. Have a match in the Daber Ma'ozba Negela Ever Ayardin on the Gvulis Eretz Yisrael B'chlal Asher Chelikum Eretz Yisrael V'chelik Megulas Am Yisrael. So here the Rebbe is like saying, and like other Rabbanim asked me, so the Rebbe is against Zionism, the Rebbe is against saying that there's a schol of the Gula. So why is the Rebbe so pro-Israel? Why is the Rebbe so pro giving the land to the Arabs? Why is the Rebbe so pro the army, pro this, pro that? Says the Rebbe, this that you need to do Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, or this that you need to be the safe in Eretz Yisrael, this that certain parts of Eretz Yisrael belong to the Yidden has nothing to do with this. That the Gula has a specific way it's going to take place. It's two separate things. Every part of Eretz Yisrael is part of Eretz Yisrael, and it's a part of the Gula of the Yidden. Which means we need this in order for the Gula to take place. But with this, that Yidden are going to Eretz Yisrael, with this the Gula doesn't start. Now the Rebbe continues, Ki Osur v'gam ein efshorius lavater al Hashem Eretz Yisrael. It is prohibited, and there's no possibility to give up, to be mavater on the name Eretz Yisrael, the land of the Yidden. It belongs to us. We cannot change the name of Eretz Yisrael, even if you want to change it, even with the name Medinas Yisrael. No. Eretz Yisrael is its name. Also, you're also not allowed, and there's no possibility to give up on the idea of Shiva Sin and exchange it for the idea of being Meyashav Eretz Yisrael. So yeah, we're going to go to Eretz Yisrael, this is instead of the Gula. No. Even if we have thousands and thousands of Yidden coming and settling Eretz Yisrael, that's still not the idea of Shiva Sin. It's prohibited to give up, to give away even any part of Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't make a difference which part of Eretz Yisrael it is. Even if the majority of the people are going to agree. The Rebbe is saying what the Rebbe is saying over here is, don't mix things up. Don't mix up the idea of settling Eretz Yisrael with the idea of returning to Eretz Yisrael. Just like we're not going to mix up which part. We're not going to mix up the idea of settling in Eretz Yisrael with the idea of returning to Eretz Yisrael in the Geula will also not give up any piece of land of Eretz Yisrael to the Goyim for no matter what, even if everyone's going to agree. V'ftuchono asher davka shlilas havitur mekareves keitza golus haguf v'golus haneshama v'tovi save is agula seinu b'dus nafshenu. We are promised that specifically through excluding any way of giving up any piece of land or giving up the idea of Geula and say, okay, instead of the Geula, what are we going to have? We'll have thousands of Yidden going to Eretz Yisrael. That's good enough for us. No, they're not giving up on the Geula. They're not giving up on any piece of land. They're not mixing up one for another in any way, form. Doesn't make a difference who wants, who doesn't want. Through this, we will, which means in other words, we're having every piece of land of an Eretz Yisrael. We want Mashiach to bring everyone to Eretz Yisrael and bring the Geula. This itself will, which means we want the Mashiach to bring us back to Eretz Yisrael. We're not accepting anything else as an exchange. This will hasten the end of the Golus of the Guf and the Golus of the Neshama. The Guf is in Golus, and even if the Guf is in Eretz Yisrael, the Neshama is still in Golus. Because we cannot do all that there. Mitzvahs, the Tovi save is Agula. This, in the end of the day, will end up actually bringing the real Geula. Geula Seinu v'dus nafshenu. The Geula of the Guf and the Geula of our Nefesh. That's l'chayre the day. Geula Seinu v'dus nafshenu. The Geula Seinu v'dus nafshenu. So the Guf will get out of Golus. So the Neshama will get out of Golus. And we want Mashiach. Take it from Yad Mamish this second now. Amen. Ken Yiratzin.